Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, October the 5th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy, folks.
Hi, everybody.
How is everybody this evening?
Fantastic. Great. Fantastic. Much better than the New York Mets.
Yeah, well, you know what? How about the what?
I was going to say, how about that hurricane?
Oh, yeah. How about that hurricane? I'm going to switch the background here. There we go. We're talking about baseball first. So, I got my Doc Gooden jersey on. So.
Well, Mets could use a little Doc Gooden.
Mets could use a little Doc Gooden.
The Mets are going to be fine.
You know what? Only the Mets.
They're just going to have to play a few more games.
Only the Mets could win 100 games and lose the division on the same night. All I'm saying.
Well, look, I think that they struck a balance this year with the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got 12 teams in the playoffs, right?
12, yeah.
Yep.
3 division winners, 2 byes, 3 wild cards. So
no one game.
No one and done. So a team like the Mets or in the years past, the Yankees or the Giants or the Dodgers, whoever lost out on that a couple of years ago when they won 106 games and were a wild card team. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it bodes well. And I think pitching is what's important here. And the Mets could potentially save Jacob deGrom for the second round, especially if they win the first 2 games.
You know what? I agree with you. I do. I think that the Padres, while a good team, are beatable.
They are, especially if you can go with Scherzer. I think starting Scherzer is a smart move. Mm-hmm. I think then if you can avoid having DeGrom pitch game 2, he's at least set up then to start the next series or pitch game 3 of the first round. So the Mets have very good pitching. Yes, they've had a couple rough spots here, but I think that bodes well, especially against the Padres.
I agree. I have to agree with that. I do. Pete?
Well, I don't know. If he's not...
Excuse me.
You're going to save him to the NLDS, maybe you got to get there first. And if he's your ace or one of your aces, you should be pitching him in one of those first 3 games.
Well, he would pitch in the first 3 games. It's just, if you save him for the 3rd game, then there's the potential for him to start, in the next series, right?
Right. If you save him for game 3, then if they win games 1 and 2, then he can start game 1 of the next series. Yeah. Correct. Absolutely.
Right. But if they have to play game 3,
then you got him in a deciding game.
Right.
Right. But then you don't have him until game 3 or 4 of the division series.
The other school of thought is that pitch him game 1 because there's spacing, right? It's not 5 days in a row. So if you pitch him game 1, which you can do, if you pitch him game 1, based on when he pitched last, he can possibly pitch game 1 of the next series.
Potentially. But let me ask you guys an honest question. Okay. Past not being part of it. Is Jacob deGrom the Mets' best pitcher right now?
No.
There you go. You answered the question. You always start with your best pitcher.
Fair enough.
I could say the same thing about the Yankees. I'm not sure Garrett Cole is my starter for game 1. I think Nestor Cortez might be. But, other than Cole's inability to Cole either gives up 3-run home runs or nothing. And so, I think strategy is going to be pretty important for these teams that have to play in this first round. I also think that there might be a benefit of playing in a short series coming off the end of the season, because there's a chance some of these other teams could get a little cold and have to wait 6 days, right, without playing. So I'm not so sure it's all bad news.
You know what? I don't disagree with that.
Who are they playing? Padres, right?
Yeah.
Playing the Padres, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to lose.
They're not going to lose to the Padres.
Yeah, they
Mets
are.
are not going to lose to the Padres.
Yeah, they are. They're in a downward spiral.
No, they're not.
They had the division lead. They lost it. They got swept by the Braves. It's the same old. It's the same old. Just another year of the same old.
Yet look, Atlanta's a good team, a really good team.
Oh yeah, they are.
And
no question.
And yeah, I think some things did not go the Mets' way, but I think the Mets are going to be prohibitive favorites against San Diego, and I do think that the Mets' talent is stronger than the Padres. I just think it is. I think it's a good matchup for them.
Yeah, I think on paper everything looks rosy for the Mets. It's not. I'm looking at what's happened over the last couple months, and certainly the last few weeks and recently, and I don't see the Mets in a good frame of mind. Now you could say, okay, it's a blank slate now, and they go out and they're a better team than the Padres, but the Padres have nothing to lose, and things don't go the Mets' way. It starts to creep into their mind. Same old Mets, another year of heartbreak.
Right.
It's, a redo of last season, right? And first. Now we get to practically the final weekend, the clutch series, where you're going to prove that you are the team that deserves it. True. And you get swept. That's a killer, man. That's a killer.
That was a killer.
Can they recover? Yes. Will they? I don't know. I don't think so. I've already said they're going to lose, so I don't think so. It's possible. I hope they do, but I think this is just.
You think it's just another Mets season? Just another Mets season.
Getting closer, but more heartbreak.
So Pete's obviously got the Padres beating the Mets. I have faith in these Mets. I like this team. I realize that they the wheels fell off a little bit there. I think they'll regroup. I think the Mets win this series.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We'll let's talk about this for a second now. Both of you know, and many people that watch this show know, I am probably one of the most pessimistic Mets fans there is out there, and even more of a pessimistic Giants fan. But in any event, Football Giants. I do think that the Mets will win this series. I don't think that they will lose to the Padres. I don't know how much further they're going to go in the playoffs beyond that, but especially if they face the Dodgers in the NLDS. But I don't think they're going to lose to the Padres. I believe they're going to beat the Padres. They'll get through the wild card game series and move on from there. Let's look at that really quick. The Mets are playing. They're playing. I just grabbed this off as a graphic, as opposed to making one my own.
Hey,
Anthony DeComo tweeted before Mets Padres wildcard series starts Friday. 8:07 Eastern time. Game 2, that's game 1. Game 2 is Saturday, 7:37 Eastern time, and game 3, if needed, 7:37 Eastern time as well. So,
and explain to the folks how the home field works in this.
Home field is whoever is the higher seeded team for the wild card series. All 3 games for the wild card series are at their stadium. So all 3 games will be played at Citi Field.
That is a big thing.
Huge.
That's a huge thing. That's a
Yeah.
huge thing. So having said
right. Sorry, go ahead.
Having said that, I think we've got some. I mean, there's four first round matchups series. I don't know, with the exception of maybe one. I think these are all going to be. I think these are some of the top teams in baseball playing in the first round.
Well, let's put them up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here's the postseason picture. All right. We have, for the wild card series, we have Tampa Bay, 6th seed, playing in Cleveland against the Guardians.
Same record, by the way. They had the same record. They
Same
both
record.
finished the end the seasons. They both won 7 out of their last 10 games.
Mhm.
So same record. Cleveland's a division winner, so that's a big benefit to them.
Right. So on that note, Harry, who would you say is going to win that series?
I like Tampa Bay. If it was 1-1-1 or even if it was a split series, I would say okay. Tampa Bay is a team that seemed to tail off a little bit towards the end of the season.
Mhm.
And if you would have asked me this even 2 weeks ago, I would have said Tampa.
Mhm.
But I think Cleveland wins this.
Fair enough.
I think Cleveland is playing pretty good ball. They're 11 games over 500 at home. Tampa's 11 games under 500 on the road. So I think this goes 3, but I think Cleveland wins.
All right. Pete?
I think all of Harry's reasoning is sound. I think Tampa Bay wins it, though. Cleveland is in a spot that they've been in before, but not so much recently. Tampa Bay, I don't think they care if they're on the road or not. And I think their more recent playoff experience wins it for them. Rays, not the Devil Rays, just the Rays.
The Rays, right. You know what? What's funny is I agree with both of you, and I think this is definitely going to go 3 games. Because I think both teams are very good, but I do think.
I thought you were going to say I think this goes 3 games because I think both teams will win one of the first 2.
Well, yeah, but I think Cleveland wins game 1, Tampa Bay wins game 2.
Right.
But in any event,
And
it goes 3
Chicago,
games because
and the White Sox win game 3
because Rob Manfred wants the money from ratings. That's what he wants now. But I do believe that Cleveland will win. That's
all right.
All right.
We got Seattle and Toronto.
Seattle, Toronto. Harry,
I'm on an island here.
Now, you know what?
Pete?
Pete, you start us off. You're on the island. You said it. So.
Seattle, Toronto? Boy. I don't know. I have a little affection for Seattle because I used to live in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Toronto is I'm gonna.
As long as you're confident. As long as you're confident, that's the important.
I am confident in nothing. I'm going to say. I'm going to say that. I'm going to take Seattle.
All right, fair enough.
Why not? If you're going to offer, you might as well offer.
You might as well. Exactly, Harry.
I think both these teams have holes. The thing with Toronto is that they seem to win despite that, and I think that lineup's got more pop than Seattle's. Not a ton more. But I think Toronto's had to play a tougher season. I think that they've been proven a little bit more than Seattle. I'm gonna go with the Blue Jays.
All
right. I think this one will go 3 as well.
You got it. I agree with you. It's going 3, but I'm leaning towards Pete. I think Seattle actually pulls out a win in game 3. I think Seattle's winning it.
There you go.
All right. Let's go over to National League. Let's Phillies 6 seed playing the Cardinals, who I just saw play the other night in Pittsburgh. The 3rd seed. Who is winning that series? Harry, start us off.
93 game winning St. Louis Cardinals, which nobody's talking about. They pulled away. I mean, talk about a team that's been hot in the second half of the season. They pulled away from the Brewers, who were winning this division most of the year. I think St. Louis, the pieces that they've tried to put together there are finally working. And I think the Cardinals win this. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 2-game sweep.
Fair enough. Pete?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't it last year when St. Louis won like 17 in a row or something and, got themselves into the playoffs? Was that last season? I think it was.
That was last season.
Yeah. So a late push and a couple of really good guys. I would say, certainly 2 out of my 3 picks for the
MVP.
NL MVP. I don't know though. Philly's kind of scrappy. They got nothing to lose. they're just not as good. And, they're the fucking Phillies. I mean, but I should hate them more than St. Louis, but it's hard. If you're a Met fan, it's really hard not to hate the hell out of St. Louis.
The one thing that I will say about St. Louis, which pushed me over the edge, is that some of these guys that have been around for a long time and you kind of wrote off, these aging veterans, are getting hot. They're contributing. Yeah. They're playing good ball. And they're not just, they're gonna be a tough lineup to get out. Now, they're a little bit of a slugging lineup. They're not necessarily the team that creates runs as well as maybe the Phillies can. But it's not going to be an easy lineup to get through. The top of it, especially.
Gosh.
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the freaking Cards.
You're going to take the Cardinals?
Yeah, I have to.
All right. So Harry's taking St. Louis. And Pete is taking St. Louis. All right, let me explain something to you, gentlemen. I actually had the privilege of watching the Cardinals live.
You said
play the Pirates.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Play the Pittsburgh Steelers the other night. Now play the Pirates.
Steelers might have done better, actually.
I don't know because I'm not paying attention, but I do not know if Mr. Pujols hit a dinger or not tonight. But if he did not hit a dinger tonight and does not hit a dinger tonight, I had the amazing privilege of watching him hit his last home run of his career, 703.
Regular season.
With the ones that count, right? Which was the other night. I also, regardless of what happens tonight, I watched him break Babe Ruth's RBI record and move it to second place behind Hank Aaron. That, regardless, will be what I saw the other night. But in any event, I watched the Cardinals play the Pirates the other night, and I watched how the Cardinals play the 100-loss Pirates the other night. And granted, they were playing in Pittsburgh, but I am taking Philly. And just based on a little bit of a late season push that Philly's doing, a little bit of scrappiness, not that I want to as a Mets fan, but with Harper back, and hitting, I think all of these are going 3 games, except for maybe one. We'll get to that in a minute. But I do think Philly's going to beat the Cardinals in the wild card series. So there you go. That's my pick.
Yeah, Bryce Harper's one of the reasons I was thinking about Philly because I think he was last year's MVP, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big part of the reason why they got to 87 wins. But
yeah,
well, I'm gonna stick. All right, so you're on the island with that, John.
Each of us are on the island so far once. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ooh, this is good.
There you go. All right, that brings us to the pièce de résistance, shall we say? The wild card game, the other wild card game in the National League. The New York Mets at home taking on the Padres of San Diego. Pete, why don't you start us off? Let's put it that way.
All right, they're the Mets, so that means San Diego wins.
That was easy.
It's
simple as that.
It's illogical, but it's also scientific.
Depending on the science you follow.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Harry.
I like the Mets. I think that this is going to be these guys are going to have to step up. All of this offseason, all of this trade deadline, all of the maneuvers that the Mets have done have put them in a place to do this. And I will say this. I hope finally in the postseason, this is a coming out party for Pete Alonso. I really mean that because I think he's a guy who's getting overlooked for MVP in the National League. I think this Mets team can put together enough runs, and I think that they have more talent than the Padres, and I think they'll win.
My pick, I will agree with you. The Mets are going to win this. I honestly think the Mets could win this in 2 games. By Saturday night, they could be done and waiting. And if I'm right on both of my National League picks, the Mets will not play the Dodgers as stated here on this graphic. The Mets will play the Braves in the NLDS, and the Phillies will indeed play the Dodgers. So either way, the Mets will have to go through the Dodgers. I don't think the Phillies will win beyond that, but that would be nice though for the Mets to be able to kind of stay home and walk to the World Series.
Three-
But then
3 teams in this in the playoffs have 2 players with 100 plus RBIs:
Mhm.
the New York Mets, the St. Louis Cardinals,
Mhm.
and the Los Angeles Dodgers.
That is correct. That is correct. And on that note, too, you were mentioning it at a coming out party for Pete Alonso, and I agree with that. But also watching what Francisco Alvarez did last night. And granted, it's against the Nationals, but I think that boosts his confidence and what he is able to do with a bat. I think this is going to be an interesting postseason for the Mets. I do. We'll see. I'm sure
Pitching. These big names, these big guys. All I hear all year from every Mets fan is how good Jacob deGrom is. Jacob deGrom and Scherzer, they got to show up here.
They do.
They got to show up here. This is.
And you also have to put him. You got to put him on the mound too.
Well, I agree. I think that they probably will, but the Mets are not a 2-pitch. They're
it's not 2 guys and
their rotation.
Their
rotation is deeper than 2. That's why I'm saying that.
It is.
That's why I'm saying that.
Mhm.
You got 3 or possibly 4 guys who you can comfortably roll out on that mound, who you could probably get 5, 6, maybe 7 innings out of. And not many teams can say that. I think the Dodgers and the Astros are the only other team that can say that.
Fair enough. I think you're right. So, but anyway, so those are my picks. Now let's actually throw that back up again. Now, if actually we can't go beyond that because it depends on. Let's just pick who we want, who we think is going to be going to the World Series, because obviously depending on who's right and who's wrong of these picks that we did with the NLDSs and the ALDSs are. Should we say who we think is going to be in the championship series and the World Series? Let's just get it out of the way now.
I think we should make picks when we know who's playing.
Wait till then.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Until then, the Astros and the Dodgers.
Until then, you think it's the Astros and the Dodgers. I actually did.
I don't know how much disagreement are you going to get? None. Probably none.
I saw 3, and I won't put them up. But I did see them today. I got to find them if I'm going to put them up. That's the problem. But I did see 3 higher notoriety, if you will, sports pundits say that all 3 said that even at this point, based on what has transpired, that they still at this point believe that the World Series is going to be the Houston Astros and the New York Mets. That's what they say. So.
Okay,
it very well could be. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. So if the Mets can beat the best team in baseball in a 7-game series without home field advantage, then and they very well could. They very well could.
Fair enough. All right. Couple of points of note. Obviously, we mentioned Pujols hitting his 703rd home run the other night, and of course, breaking Babe Ruth's RBI record. He's number 2 now behind Hank Aaron, which he will not break, obviously, because there's no way he can hit about 60 RBIs tonight. So,
yeah, that's true.
It's not going to happen unless he decides to come back for another year. Then maybe he can do it. But Aaron Judge, kudos to Aaron Judge, hit number 62 last night. He is now he now holds the record of the most home runs in the American League, and some believe the most home runs, period, non-tainted,
the legitimate
record. And kudos to Jeff McNeil. I haven't seen the stats from tonight, and he's fighting it out with Freddie Freeman for the batting title in the National League. As of last night, Jeff McNeil had batting average of 328, and Freddie Freeman had 324. So damn close. And it depends on what they both do tonight. So,
what a pickup for the Dodgers. And kudos to McNeil, but Freddie Freeman's got the average and everything else that Freddie Freeman does. Yeah, I mean, look, it was a long haul. I was kind of getting nervous for Judge. I'm glad he did it. He's carried this team on his back. This Yankees team is, I don't even recognize half of it. Having said that, some of these younger guys that have been thrown into action have actually been performing pretty well. It's a typical Yankees scenario where you just don't know what you're going to get, and you just don't know who's going to be healthy. And if this team was healthy, I'd have much more faith in them, but they're not. And we're going to see. The storybook season for Judge, I think, is definitely worth talking about in the same breath as Ted Williams and some other people have put up numbers such as this in the past. I think for him to really put an exclamation mark on the season, he's got to show up in the postseason. And I hope that's the case. And I hope enough of these Yankee bats that are so sporadic and so unpredictable can put the bat on the ball. Put the bat on the ball and
put the bat on the ball.
Because here's a fact that I don't think Yankee fans understand. In the last 10 games of the season, the Yankees team ERA was 1.99.
Mm-hmm.
So all this talk, obviously we've had some issues with starters. Cole's given up the big home runs. There's been some erraticism, especially with Chapman when he goes in there. But as a whole, the Yankees pitching towards the end of the season has performed really well.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they're able to rely on 3, 4, 5 relievers to come in and really shut down other teams, I think bodes well. The question mark and with the Yankees' weakness is they don't have the starting pitching that other teams do. And it's really going to be interesting to see who Aaron Boone puts on the mound, because while James Tan's numbers are not as good, the Yankees win when he pitches.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a 10-game stretch you just mentioned. The question with that is that just a hot streak, or is that indicative of what the Yankees are going to be going forward? That's the real question.
I think it's at least momentum in the right direction. Do I expect them to do that in the playoffs against much better competition? No, but what it tells me is
it's nice to have that kind of swing heading into the postseason.
Unlike the Mets, the Yankees they didn't skyrocket at the end of the season, but they still won they still won 99 games. There's a couple of games towards the end that I think they just gave up on. They played better ball. Okay. And they played better ball while they were sort of distracted by the Judge reality. Mm-hmm. Did they play great ball? Are they the best team in baseball? No, but they were way better than what we saw in the middle part, I guess, the beginning part of the second post All-Star break Yankees. And that imminent collapse did not happen.
No.
Do I think they're a World Series championship team? They're going to have to really put every piece together, and they're going to have to get some great play from some of these veteran guys above and beyond what they've done in the regular season for them to win.
Fair enough. Agreed. All right. I mean, I think I think we're in for an interesting postseason.
That's all we can say for now. It's going to be fun.
It is. It's going to be fun. Hopefully,
unless you're a Met fan.
We shall
see.
You shall see.
Well, you know how often I'm right.
And I said this several times today. Only the Mets could win 100 games, could win their 100th game of the season on the same night that they lose the division.
Yeah. Look,
this is a bigger collapse than 07 and 08, because with the exception of one day, they were in first place throughout the entire season until this past weekend.
Until like game 158.
158.
Yeah, look, I say this all the time. Until the Mets do it, they're still the Mets. And be the pessimist that I am, I just think they're still the Mets, and that means they don't do it. Now, when they do, then I'll go, all right, cool. Mm-hmm. Now it's different. But until then, sorry.
I think what you're also going to find out is that this Atlanta Braves team, had they not gotten off to the start they did, might have been a 110 win team.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, yeah, I do agree with that. They got off to a shitty start, and we would have been talking about hoping the Mets had the wild card the entire year, because the Mets would have been 2, 3, 4 games behind them the entire year.
Nobody's really talking about Atlanta. Now, they're talking about it the last couple of days because they won the division, but
listen,
if I'm the Dodgers, I don't want to face the Mets or Atlanta.
Yeah. And the Mets, the guy that you've been high on all season, and rightfully so, who hasn't played since the beginning of September, is Mr. Marte.
Yeah.
Big part. This is not the same Mets team without him.
No.
And if they do manage to get by San Diego, they're going to need him, to have any chance of getting any farther. That's for sure.
I agree. He's a vital part of that lineup, and defensively, he changes the complexity of the outfield, especially when it comes to postseason time. So yeah, hopefully he can get healthy. Look, hopefully a lot of these guys who are nursing injuries, we'll actually see them on the field,
Right.
because there's question marks all over the place. The Mets have less of them, I think, than the Yankees do. But I would say Marte is one of the top 4 players on the Mets, and you certainly want him, atop that lineup.
All right.
All right. I think
enough baseball.
That's enough baseball. All right. Let's move on to football. Let's put the background.
Oh, hey, sorry. One other thing. I don't know if you read this, but Shohei Ohtani arbitration, $30 million next year.
$30 million
For him.
That's the record amount for arbitration.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if that's is that just Ohtani and the Angels going, I don't know. How about $30 million and you play for one more year, and then okay, fine. I don't have to decide for another year.
Isn't that a dream job to become the GM of the Angels? By the way, quietly, after missing a good big chunk of the season, Mike Trout hit his 40th home run today. So, yeah. I mean, with those two guys, especially Ohtani, who's just sort of, you can't even classify him because of what he does. Right. That you have to look at that team and go, all right, Ohtani's what, 27? Trout's 31. Yes, there's some injury. There's some issues with Trout. But look, even if Mike Trout has to sort of start to become a first baseman or a DH in 3 or 4 years, you still, I mean, his bat alone, is those two in the lineup together are just, if you can get them both for a full season, you don't need a ton to put around them.
No.
Yep. Maybe the most underperforming team in baseball this year.
That's true.
Based on what they have. So,
cool. All right, football. Week 4 this past weekend was interesting.
It always is. Can we say the word parody?
We can say the word parody a lot.
Unpredictability.
Yeah.
Maybe some true colors starting to show.
Let's look at the standings. Let's look at the standings, and we'll talk about a couple of games. But let's look at the standings here. Let's look at the AFC first. Miami Dolphins are in first place.
Yeah.
Tied with the Buffalo Bills, nonetheless, but tiebreaker-wise, the Miami Dolphins are ahead of the Bills.
That's about to change.
Yeah. And granted, the Jets are only 1 game out of first. Granted, we're after week 4, so that doesn't mean a whole lot.
Hey, Boomer Esiason, optimistic about the Jets.
But when was the last time the Patriots
that's contractually
were in last place?
Well, yeah. And look, I think I'm not surprised by any of this, really, because of who everybody's played so far.
Right.
The Jets have had a relatively simple schedule. Miami, they're a good team. What are they better than Buffalo? No. And I think by the end of the year that'll start to pan out. But this is a good division. I think the Jets are much like the Giants. I think they're off to a better start than people probably predicted. I do think that the Jets have some upside. And I think that New England is, especially the injury to Mac Jones, his lack of playing time a little bit in the preseason. I think it's starting to show. Will I write the Patriots off? No, but they're overperforming. They probably have the least talent on paper, and I think they probably did last year as well. And why that is, I don't know. Why they're why they're not able to go out and put more parts around a young quarterback like that, I don't know. You'd have to ask Bill Belichick. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets in New England sort of have a similar schedule by the end of the year. I think New England will win 1 or 2 more games than the Jets, but I think it's going to be the Dolphins and the Bills, and I think the Bills will rise to the top.
AFC North, we have the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens all tied for first place.
And the Browns could be 3-1.
Browns could be 3-1. To be quite honest with you,
someone obviously
Pete,
they
the
could
Browns
be 4-0.
should be 3-1.
Yeah, they should be 3-1.
So
doesn't surprise me.
It's just going to be Cincinnati and Baltimore.
Yeah,
I think
Joe Burrow's got his head back on, and look, Baltimore's maybe a one-man team, but that one man is pretty damn good.
Right. Yeah, and I'll just say this about the East. I think listen, the Patriots are obviously going through a transition period, right? Which is something that Bill Belichick didn't have to do for a long time.
No.
And, there's a little something called the sophomore slump, which
Right.
affects a lot of players, and Mac Jones is right there. And he's hurt. So it shouldn't be surprising that they're not great again this year or, not necessarily in contention. So,
but if there's any team that could win 9 games or during a transition period, it's the Patriots, because I think they did it last year.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I will say one thing about Baltimore. Their defense is not what it used to be, and I don't foresee it becoming what it used to be.
You know why their defense is not why it used to be?
Yes, please enlighten us.
Because the reason for the defensive coordinator that made it what it used to be is now the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants.
I think it has a little bit more to do with that, but okay, we'll give old Winky his due for now.
He's a good defensive coordinator.
I agree.
Anyway, Pittsburgh Steelers also 1-3. We'll talk about that in a minute, because that's one of the games I want to talk about, only because I was there, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Whatever.
Well, it's Jets talk too, so we're going to talk about the game. So, AFC South, Jags leading the division, tied with the Titans at 2-2. Colts 1-2 and 1, and Houston 0-3-1.
Yeah, no surprise with Houston. The Colts are the most disappointing team in the NFL so far.
Right.
One of the 7 most likely to disappoint, according to whatever that article was.
And I think we all sort of agreed with that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what Jacksonville is doing. Mm-hmm. And what's his name? The quarterback there, whose name?
Trevor Lawrence.
Bradford. Yeah.
Trevor Bradford.
Lawrence. That's
Trevor Bradford Lawrence.
Lawrence Bradford III.
Maybe starting to fulfill some of his potential.
Jeff Spicoli. Yeah.
And they've been through a whole rigmarole with Meyer and all that stuff, and so
I think this division is filled with teams that look. Jonathan Taylor's out. We don't know how long, but it's going to be at least a couple games. It looks like.
The Jaguars still seem like a team in disarray. I want to say that,
right?
But
and Tennessee is like the Patriots. They have this team. They have one great player. How long? How much? It seems like that you're just putting their defense at a spot to hold on every game so that they can win 14-13. And I think that I think the other teams have risen a little bit, and I think that this is up for grabs. And
the Titans defense giving up an average of 25 points a game.
They're not great. They're not great. Nobody. This is the worst division of football.
They're not.
And I got to tell you,
Tennessee's not good enough for that. Their defense is not good enough to carry them.
No, it absolutely is. And Jonathan Taylor, I mean, talk about a slump. I mean, he was lighting up every single field he ran on last
offensive
year.
line. Offensive line. Offensive line health is what dictates the NFL more than anything, especially with teams that run.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then we move to the AFC West, where Kansas City's leading at 3-1. The Chargers and Broncos are tied at 2-2, and the Raiders are 1-3. This was touted to be the best division in football by many, many, many sports pundits, including the three of us.
Well, I always said I thought there's 2 really good teams, and I think if Herbert's not hurt, I think the Chargers are a lot better. Sure. I think the Chargers and Kansas City are 2 really good teams. I always said I think I picked the Raiders to nowhere near what everybody else thought, and I think the Broncos are mediocre, and they are mediocre.
And they are mediocre.
So
they're mediocre, and Russell Wilson is not a panacea. He's still a good player, I think, but he's not the answer in Denver. And the Raiders, look, last year was a surprise and a pleasant surprise. Right. But there's some pieces missing there.
Geno Smith, look at the comparison between Geno and Russell right now.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing too is with the Raiders. I mean, is this is my question to both of you? I want your opinion. With the Raiders, is this going to be another Josh McDaniel, failure? Failure?
I think they'll pick up. Because there's some parity in a lot of the games that they have to play. Right. I will say this. Kansas City's one dropped pass away from being 4-0, and they decimated the best defense in football last week. Yeah. So Kansas City's going to win this. This idea that Kansas City is not the best team in that division, people were delusional.
Right.
Delusional.
Because Tyreek Hill went to Miami, they suck all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think Tyreek Hill is a great player. I think his success had something to do with the guy throwing the ball to him and the guy making up the plays for him. Mm-hmm. So Kansas City is going to win 12, 13 games.
Yeah.
And I think Tyreek Hill will still be successful in Miami.
Well, he is already.
Already. He will continue to be as long as Tua comes back. But to say they lost one player and all of a sudden they're in the toilet, it's silly.
Agreed. Jumping to the NFC, starting with the division that most people thought was going to be one of the worst divisions in football, and for the past so many years has been one of the worst divisions in football. At the moment is the best division in football, and that would be the NFC East, with the Eagles insanely, riding an undefeated 4-0 season thus far.
Who have they beaten?
And a winnable game. Let's face it, a winnable game this coming Sunday too. But it doesn't matter who they beat; it's who's on their schedule to play. And if they have a lesser schedule, same with every other. Look.
Didn't we all pick the Eagles to win the NFC East?
We all did, yeah.
Yeah. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
I
don't think they're going to be 17-0.
No.
But by any means, but yeah, the Eagles are going to win the division. But the Eagles are 4-0. The Cowboys and the Giants are tied at 3-1, and the Commanders are, in the basement at 1-3, but that was expected. But the Giants at 3-1 was not expected.
No, the Giants at 3-1 was not expected. Again, Giants' strength of schedule. As much of a surprise with the Giants being 3-1, I think is bigger surprise with Dak going out after week 1 that the Cowboys are 3-1.
Yeah.
And look, I think both teams, everybody knew that the Eagles and Cowboys were going to fight it out. Okay. The Giants don't have the toughest schedule in the world, but the Giants are going to come back to reality. And I will say right now, Saquon Barkley's got to be one of the top 2 running backs in contention for MVP. He might be quarterbacking on Sunday in London.
He very well might be.
So I've never hoped for Daniel Jones to start a game in my life, but I am this week because I think that this could be the Giants could go in the opposite direction very quickly if they don't have a serviceable quarterback. I will say this, the Giants defense has improved immensely, and the Giants offensive line, while still struggling to pass protect, is doing a really good job of run blocking, and Saquon's back. So let's hope Saquon can stay healthy because I think between him and Nick Chubb, they're the 2 best running backs in football right now.
I agree with you. He's just he's lining up, and knock on wood, it keeps going. But
would it surprise you if the Giants lost 3 out of their next 4 games?
It would not. Yeah. It would not. But it also wouldn't. Honestly, it also wouldn't surprise me that they won 3 out of the next 4 games. To be honest with you.
That would surprise me.
That would surprise me, especially because I think this Jones injury is more serious than it is, and it looks like Taylor is going to be out with concussion protocol.
Don't count Davis Webb out.
Right. We're automatically look. If there's ever anybody who is super optimistic about second and third string Giants quarterbacks, it's you. Yeah, Davis Webb. Yeah, look, stranger things have happened.
Right.
Who was the quarterback for the Giants a couple of years ago who came in? Threw for like 600 yards, or was that the Jets? I can't remember.
Oh, that was Mike White, I think. Mike White last year.
Yeah.
Well, look, at least the Giants don't have to put up with the neck throwing the ball this year. So,
right.
Anyway, all right. NFC North.
Big test this week for the Giants. Big test.
9:30 a.m. Sunday morning.
11:30.
11:30. No, it's 11:30 your time. No, 7:30 your time.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant.
Yeah, 7:30 your time. In London, England, Giants playing the Packers. Packers are the home team, which is good because it actually doesn't take away a home game from the Giants. It takes away a home game from the Packers playing in London. But in any event, obviously no home field advantage playing over in London. But you know what? I honestly, well, when we get to beaten by the coin, you'll hear my pick. But we'll see. NFC North, on that note, Vikings and Packers both tied at 3-1. Vikings have the edge because they beat the Packers. The Bears are at 2-2. Lions 1-3. Vikings, my opinion, are not a 3-1 team, even though they're 3-1. The Lions, my opinion, are not a 1-3 team.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah. Look, I think two teams that I've said all year are going to be way better than what people expect them to be and are going to be tough games every week are Cleveland and Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's proven true so far. I think the Vikings always, in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years, have found ways to win games.
Mm-hmm.
They're always close. Nobody expects them to outlast Green Bay and win the division, but they seems like they always split with Green Bay,
right.
And they seem to have Chicago's number. I think Chicago, after a great game one, their true colors are showing. They're not a good team, and they're in disarray on offense. Mm-hmm. So I think at the end of it all, if the Lions are ahead of the Bears, I would not be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. It would not shock me. All right, Pete, anything on the North?
Nope. Bears aren't good.
There you go. You heard it here, folks.
Lions status quo, although I think they'll be better, a little bit better this year, but the Bears will be better. Good. Yeah. Don't be fooled by the Bears.
NFC South, Bucks, Falcons tied for first. Panthers, Saints tied for second or last. How are you going to look at it? Kind of the same thing. I think the Saints are better than the record, and I think the Bucks are worse than the record. I think the Falcons are the class of this division right now, even though it's not a classy division, mind you. I'm not saying they're going to be going 14-3 by any means.
Bucks have a really hard schedule.
Bucks have a hard schedule,
and they beat New Orleans. I would say that Atlanta's the surprise here.
Surprise, yeah.
And I was also not on this New Orleans bandwagon in the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. And I don't think New Orleans is going to be. I think they're going to be a 500 team. Mm-hmm. I think this is Tampa's to lose. Look, Tampa's got some issues, but they've had a tough schedule, and I think they bounce back. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Atlanta's playing pretty decent ball. And I think New Orleans is one of those teams that are underperforming, and I think it's somewhat predictable. I think people were a little too overly optimistic with the Saints.
Right. I agree with you.
I'll say this: Atlanta has scored 103 points, and they've given up 101.
Yeah, right.
So that's
depends on how you distribute that. Yeah.
Right. It's all in the distribution. So I don't think they're.
Well, they've scored 2 more points than they've given up, and they've won 2 more games than they've lost. So, I mean, it's kind of right on, right?
Well, no, they won and lost the same number of games.
Yeah.
They won 2 more games than they lost. Well, not yet. They won the same amount of games.
No,
You knew where I was going with that. So
I was like, what am I missing here? Did I miss a game?
That was new math. Yeah, they're a little bit better, but I don't
math.
I don't think they're going to be challenging Tampa Bay.
No, I don't think so either. And the West, everybody in the West is in first place.
Yeah.
Everybody in the West is in first place. There is not one team that's not in first place in the West. So there you go. 49ers, Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals all tied at 2-2.
And by the way, the Falcons snuck past the Seahawks and the Browns. So they're not actually, world beaters right now. Although I will tell you this. That was an upset for them to beat the Browns.
Well, here's my point with that. All right. And I know it was kind of tongue in cheek when I said it before, but the Falcons, I think the Bucs have too hard a schedule for the team that they fielded this year. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're really going to go anywhere. The Panthers, I mean, you know what? I mean, don't tell Matt Rule I said this. You know what? Fuck it. Tell them I said it. I don't care. They suck. The Panthers are bad.
Yeah, they're terrible.
And the Saints are not much better. So I honestly think the Falcons. I honestly think that this is the Falcons' division to lose.
Well, we'll see this week,
and they may go 9-8 and win the division.
We'll see this week. They go into Tampa Bay. Look, they get to play the Panthers twice. They get to play the Bears, the Commanders, the Steelers, the Saints. They could rack up some wins, but in the next couple of weeks, they got the Bucs, the 49ers, and the Bengals.
Fair enough.
So we'll see if they're for real.
All right. Let's talk about a couple of games. Giants did what they had to do and beat the Bears. Now, granted, it wasn't
this is one of the games I thought the Giants would win.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they did what they had to do and beat the Eagles. You know, it wasn't like they did what they had to do and beat the Chiefs. You know, they did what they had to do and beat the Bears. You know, let's call it what it is, right? But it was good though. I mean, you know, you look at Daniel Jones. You could say what you want about Daniel Jones. You know, is he the future of the Giants? Who knows? Is he Eli Manning or Peyton Manning or Joe Montana or even Phil Simms? No, he's not.
Not even Jeff Hostetler. But
He's
he
not
looked
Jeff
more
Hostetler.
Hostetler. He looked more Hostetler.
He looked more Hostetler lately, and he definitely has heart. You know?
Yeah. I've always said this. If the Giants could limit Daniel Jones to passing for less than 20 times a game, then they're obviously doing something right. And they did. How many passes?
16.
Yeah.
16
ran for two scores. He got hurt. Look, this is what I don't like about him running, and this is what I don't like about him passing, is that he gets hit too much.
Well,
now,
he gets hit too much to it.
He only got sacked once, right?
Right.
Big improvement there.
Big improvement. I mean, he had 24 hurries and 6 sacks in the Dallas game last Monday.
It's because he passed too much.
But here's the thing about that. And
also, Dallas has a little better defense.
I'd say it's because he's. I mean, it's like he's a short quarterback. He's moving around a little bit. He's a little bit lower to the ground. He's a big quarterback. He can't be taking the hits he's taking.
No,
he can't.
But he's gotten smarter about when to scramble and making decisions quicker. The problem with Daniel Jones and the Giants is that he had his time from snap to release was the longest in the NFL. His average release time is the longest in the NFL. He has to get it out of his hand.
Right.
This is the success of any quarterback.
You're absolutely right.
Look, the Giants are playing old school Giants football. They wore the old school uniforms, and it looked like Rodney Hampton and Jeff Hostetler out there.
I hope they keep those damn uniforms on the rest of the damn season.
They're without a doubt their best looking uniforms.
Yeah.
But they ran the ball. They played tough defense. And the difference in the Giants in this game as years passed, I was never concerned that they were going to give it up.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
So that's an improvement.
And here's the 3 things about Daniel Jones that is an improvement that's better for him. All right. And granted, who knows if he's actually playing on Sunday morning, but here's the deal. Number 1, his offensive line is better and is continually improving. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, and even more important than number 1, Saquon Barkley is, knock on wood, back, to what he was doing his first season with Manning in there, right? And
which is also due, because of the offensive line as well.
Line is part of it, yeah, exactly. But he's got a little bit of his swagger back too.
They both make each other better,
right? And number 3, and even more important than both of those things, they actually have a legitimate coaching staff coaching them now on both sides of the ball and the head coach.
I will say this about
the first time since they got rid of Tom Coughlin that they have that.
Here's the one thing I'll say about Dable real quick. He was not afraid to come in and have everybody compete for their positions and make the decisions based on what he saw on the field and not assume anybody had a starting job. He made some big decisions on the defensive side. Huge. He made some big decisions on the offensive side. Mm-hmm. And so far they're paying off. And the Giants are decimated at wide receiver right now again. Mm-hmm. That concerns me a little bit. But I like what I see. Look, the Giants were running 3 tight end sets. I mean, was Howard Cross out there? What was going on? When was the last time you saw the Giants run 3 tight end sets? Mm-hmm. It tells me that at least he's looking at what he sees there and goes, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And they're blocking, at least for the run. So room for improvement, yes. I still stand by my prediction as it's where the Giants are going to be this year. But I like the attitude. And I like the fact that, they get a couple pieces here and there. They can, down the road, maybe be a 9-10 win team.
I hear you. I agree. All right.
Oh, one other quick note. One other quick thing I want to say about Tampa Bay.
Sure.
Don't forget who's their head coach now. That's going to be a factor.
It's definitely a factor. It's by far a big factor.
I agree.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I agree. They don't look. People talk about Brady's. The offense is still doing what they need to do. it's just they don't seem as efficient as they used to be.
Yeah, that's a good word.
No, they don't. All right. Go ahead. What?
No, go.
All right. All right. So that's Giants. We're going to talk about more about that in Beaten by the Coin when we wrap up the show today shortly. But we're going to talk about the other New York team really quick. Let's start it off by playing we now have the short version of this. So let's play our intro for the Jets.
How you doing, brother? It's Joe Douglas.
Hey, man.
Hey, man, I'm going to turn you over to Coach Sala.
Hey, yelling. I'm great, man. Blessed to be here, man.
Hey, man. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Family, 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 family.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Well,
how about
despite that weird first phone call, it didn't phase Sauce Gardner too much.
not so much? No, he really didn't.
No, he's doing a good job. Doing a good job, that rookie.
He is. Good game on Sunday. I was there. I was how should I say this? Not rooting per se for the Jets.
On the fence, would you say?
I was on the fence. Well, let's put it this way. I was not by any means upset that the Jets won, because the three people I was sitting in the stadium with were all rooting for the Jets. But this was me in the stadium wearing Steelers.
Is that a Terry Bradshaw?
That's actually James Harrison jersey.
James Harrison.
Yeah.
Isn't he the 15th president of the United States?
That's correct. Yes, he played for the Steelers in his younger days.
In a previous life, yeah.
Right, exactly. But in any event, no, it was a good game. But I will tell you, from a Steelers point of view, we'll talk about the Jets in 1 second. But from a Steelers point of view, they got what they needed. Mitchell Trubisky was not the answer in Pittsburgh by any means, and I said that on the show a couple of weeks ago. But I turned around and looked at several Steelers fans behind me and said, I hope I see, we're talking before the game. I said, I hope I see Kenny Pickett by the end of the game. They're like, what are you talking about? Trubisky's our guy. And these were Steelers fans that have season tickets that were sitting behind me saying that. I'm like, really? Mitchell Trubisky's your guy. I go, so when Kenny Pickett came in the game, I just turned around and looked at them. And they're like shoot me, like, nah. Like, okay, before the game was over, and granted the Jets obviously, literally on that last drive when the Jets were going in to score and win, they got up and left. But I mean, how can you not think Kenny Pickett isn't the future of the team there? Whether he turns into Ben Roethlisberger or not, he's still the future of the team right now. So,
well, yeah, but is he the best chance for you to win a game?
Right now he is. He's better than Mitchell Trubisky, absolutely.
Is he? I don't know.
Well, they had two field goals from Mitchell Trubisky. They scored 2 touchdowns in 2 consecutive drives with Kenny Pickett running them both in.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah. And then he had a drive before he got down there too, and he hit some long passes. I would say yes.
How many interceptions did he throw?
Same amount as Mitchell Trubisky threw. Actually, no, Trubisky threw 2. He threw 1. But that, I think that was a fall down too. I can't remember exactly, because I got to admit, I'll come clean. While I was watching the game, I was also looking at my phone watching the Giants Bears game. So yeah, I was
so sorry that you were spending your Sunday watching the Jets and the Giants.
I feel bad.
I was only for 3 hours. Then I went out afterwards. So, but anyway,
it's not really about right now, obviously, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Mitchell Trubisky has never been the answer for any team that he's ever played for.
Not at all.
And that's probably going to hold true. Pickett at least has a chance to be the answer for Pittsburgh. So, Harry, to your point, is he the best guy right now? Maybe, maybe not. Probably.
He threw
based on what we've seen, yes.
Right.
But he's certainly the best option moving forward. But he has to play in order to become that. So,
I agree. He threw 13 passes and 3 were intercepted. However, he was not sacked. So He threw no touchdowns. Yeah, he ran 2 in. That's great.
And he's
still lost to the Jets.
Yeah, and he's a rookie quarterback, right?
But
And what round was he taken in?
I like Pickett. Don't get me wrong, and I have
I do too.
He's a Jersey boy too.
I just don't like this middle of the game.
Not that matters, but he's
Throw
a
the
Jersey
rookie
boy.
in there. I mean, let him start a whole game. So we'll see. You know, he gets a whole week.
He'll be starting this week. Yeah,
he'll be starting. He gets a whole week to prepare. He's going to get better. But he did throw 3 interceptions.
Right.
So he threw, on 13 passes. That's Jones' ass.
2 of them I was clearly watching my phone.
Yeah,
the Giant game. So,
but that's why I texted you and said, "Yeah, Kenny Pickett. Yeah,
right." But my point is, he's not a first round pick. You know, he's not one of the.
He's not Trevor Lawrence. He's not Mac Jones. No.
Yeah, he's what was he, a third round or late second round?
He was picked in the first round.
He was picked in the first round, but he was late first round.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't.
He was 20th pick.
Yeah.
20th. All right, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I thought he was a great pick.
No, it was a good pick. On that note,
I don't think he's expected to come in and be great as a rookie.
No, they weren't expecting that, but I think he's right now what they have. I think he's the best chance if he continues to play and not go in and out, and they AB him with Trubisky. I think he's the best chance that they have to actually salvage the season and have Tomlin not suffer his first losing season of his career.
He's going to have a losing season. It's inevitable.
He's going to have a losing season.
Yeah,
but
at least you get some experience under Pickett's belt, and he's good for next year.
Yeah,
so. He's the definition of potential.
Yeah, they're going to lose. If they win 3 more games, I'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah,
fair enough. On that note, flip it on the other side, the Jets. Pete, can you tell me, did you talk to Robert Saleh this week? When did they put in the Philly special play there?
Oh,
when did they institute that?
Maybe the day before.
I saw that damn thing open up.
Take receipts, baby. Take receipts.
Taking receipts. I saw Zach Wilson hand off the ball and run out. And I'm like, where the hell is he? Because, he just took off running. I'm like, where is he going? And then I saw the reverse. I'm like, yep, I knew exactly what was coming. And there he is all alone. Bob, the 3 of us could have threw them pass, and they would have caught it.
All right. Yeah. The lowest ranked game probably of the Sunday. Jets and Steelers.
I know. Well, that was the highlight of the Jets scoring, though. So that's why
it was a hell of a game.
Yeah. No, it was definitely one. It was definitely interesting. There was definitely a lot of pissed off Steelers fans there, but that's probably going to happen most of the season this year. So
I think it proves that the Jets are a much better team with Zach Wilson at quarterback.
Sure.
So, look, he had a pretty good game, and they seem like a different team. And the fact that they were able to come back, that means something. They didn't hold on to beat the Steelers. They came back.
Fair enough. They did.
This is the second time Jets have come back.
Listen, one was with Flacco, and
right.
he is a very viable backup quarterback.
Right, and I saw that. And Flacco and Wilson are constantly in communication during the game. I think Flacco is incredibly important, and I think Zach Wilson appreciates him being over there.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Listen, it's kind of like what a lot of teams used to do. You bring in that veteran guy, and he tutors the young future of the team.
Yes.
And Flacco seems to have taken to that role, and that's a good thing.
I agree. He'll probably be doing it for another quarterback next year and another quarterback the year after that.
Hey, listen, get a paycheck, man. Hang on.
There's no better job. There's no better job now than the second string quarterback. It used to be third string quarterback, but this backup quarterback's a pretty good gig.
Yep,
I agree.
All right.
Let's move on. Any other football things we want to talk about? I think we have a new segment that we're gonna do right now.
All right.
Oh, yeah. All right. We sort of covered all this, so this should be very quick.
All right.
I didn't know we were going to talk about every team in the league. So this is called "Are They for Real?"
Are they? We got to get a sounder for it. We're gonna.
Are they for real?
Are they for real?
Sponsored by Hellman's, the real mayonnaise.
The real mayonnaise. Right. That's sponsors.
All right. So let's just go down quickly. Yes, no, maybe a quick reason why. Are they for real? The New York Giants.
No.
I think we answered this. Harry says no. John. They're 3-1.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I say no. They can't last. Number
I
two.
I said it tongue in cheek, by the way. I'll be honest with you. I didn't.
Oh, all right.
They're not for real. No.
Well, listen, I'm not keeping track of any of this. There's nothing on the line. All right, the Philadelphia Eagles, are they for real?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I think we all agree they are.
but they're the most unconventional team in football.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
all
are,
all this talk about Jalen Hurts being an MVP, please stop it.
Yeah.
Next.
They're fun to watch, though. All right, staying in Philly. Are the Phillies for real? Now, for real, I mean, I think we all picked against them. No, John picked them. So will they beat St. Louis? John says yes.
Yes.
Harry and I say no.
Right.
I will say this. Great season for the Phillies, especially with where they started from. They had a really big turnaround, and they play in a tough division. They play against 2 of the top 4 teams in the National League a lot. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the Phillies. I think they're going to lose, but I'm not going to definitively say they're not for real, because I think just getting to where they are makes them for real.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know what? I kind of agree with you there. All right. The Vikings, led by Kirk Cousins, are they for real?
Yes.
They're right where I expected them to be. They always win 10, 11, 12 games. Yeah.
So by are they for real? Are they going to go a little farther this year?
Yes.
I agree with John. I think if they're ever going to do it, it's this year.
What did they do last year? Did they make it to the playoffs?
I think they made it to
the wild
playoffs,
card.
and they lost, right?
And they bowed out. Yeah.
So the question is, do they get past the wild card round of the? Maybe.
I think they can.
Yeah.
I think they can. Yeah.
They're real-ish.
I'm going to tell you one of the reasons, not the only reason, one of the reasons I think they're for real is, and we'll make this quick. Dalvin Cook. You look at Dalvin Cook. Every year prior to this year, he's running 9 million yards every friggin' 10 minutes, right? It's more balanced now. He's not he doesn't have to do as much as he has had to do in the previous years. And they're still winning. So that's why I say, they're for real.
Well, they got two really good receivers. And
they have arguably the best receiver, at least statistically, in football right now. So, look, and they have a perfectly adequate,
serviceable.
When you look up serviceable quarterback,
there's a picture of Kirk Cousins.
That's going to frustrate the shit out of you at times. Kirk Cousins comes up. Like I've always said,
listen,
there's 7 good quarterbacks in the league, and everybody else in the middle are all Kirk Cousins.
Right.
So
but he's like anybody else, almost anybody else. You put a great team around him, and he can have success. But,
absolutely.
But he's got some pieces right now. So
Justin Jefferson, 300
and Thielen,
393 yards already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, last one. Is he for real, Geno Smith?
No.
So he's playing above his head.
Yep.
Hasn't finally put it together. We weren't really expecting the Seahawks to be very good this year, were we?
Nobody's
pretty lousy with Russell Wilson last year.
Geno Smith has always been an average quarterback, maybe a slightly above average. But
so what I mean by turned a corner.
What I mean by that is everybody's looking at him now saying, "Oh, it's just Geno Smith," and they're comparing him to Russell Wilson, and they're looking at what they think the Seahawks should be doing because they're going to suck, right? Russell Wilson's gone, and they have a shitty quarterback. Geno Smith is a better quarterback than a shitty quarterback. Is he a good quarterback? No, but he's a better quarterback than a shitty quarterback.
He's in the Kirk Cousins league.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. The Seahawks have beat the Broncos by 1, a game that the Broncos should have scored 3 more touchdowns in the red zone. They got lolly-lipped by the 49ers. They lost to the Falcons, and they beat a Lions team, albeit a Lions team that was improved, but a Lions team that gave up 48 points to Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So is Geno Smith for real? No. But he's Geno Smith. And, there will be games that they will win this year. But I think the Seahawks cap out at 6-7 wins.
There you go.
All right, let me just run down real quick. This is the quarterback rankings. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Jalen Hurts, Herbert, Rodgers, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Geno Smith, number 9.
Now what is this? Is this quarterback rating?
This is
PBR?
the NFL
Rankings
NFL
or rating?
quarterback index. I
Yeah,
don't know
that
what the
whole
determinant-
quarterback.
Is it
I think
based on
takes
rating?
I don't know. I think there's a bunch of stats.
It's
that they
the
list,
rating,
so-
right? The RTG. Passer
I don't
rating?
know. They're just showing their stats. It doesn't say how it's calculated.
Look, Geno Smith's got over 1,000 yards already. He's thrown for 6 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. So look, he's rushed for another 64 yards and another TD on the ground.
Look, Geno
I
Smith.
mean, you can only
Geno
play
Smith-
the team that's in front of you in the field, right?
Right. Geno Smith's only done this on a regular basis, other than popping in that one game that Ben McAdooshbag put him in, breaking Eli Manning's streak. And whenever he came in garbage time for any other team that he happened to be a backup for, back when he was a Jet, right? This Seattle team, while not a great team, is a better team overall with better coaching than he had when he was a Jet.
That's for sure.
So obviously he's being
That's true of any team.
Look,
right.
against a good but not great Denver Broncos defense, he threw for 195 yards. Against a very good San Francisco offense, he threw for 197 yards and lost 27-7. Against a crappy Atlanta passing defense and a pretty horrible Detroit passing defense, he's thrown for 325 and 320. So he's had 2 good weeks
So he's good against bad teams.
against Atlanta and Detroit. So
All right. So he's had good games against bad teams, and he ain't for real.
There you go.
there you go.
All right.
And there you
I
go.
think that's definitive. That's what I
There
like.
you go. Great.
And that'll
great,
do
great.
it. Or are they for real?
Are they for real? There you go. We got to get a better sounder than me singing that.
All right, are we
All
done?
right. Beaten by the coin. Let's get
All
our picks
right.
in and we're finishing up. Let's start us out here. What do you think?
Let's get
coin.
I'm sure I'll
one
lose.
sounder that
No
one of the
wants
2
to
sounders we
beat by the
have.
coin.
All right, quick recap. Boy, it was a good week for everyone but the coin. John and I went 5-1. Harry, you were 4-2. The coin was 1-5. So as of right now, Harry and I are tied. John, you're 1 game back. The coin is now 5 games back of the co-leaders.
I thought
And,
I only lost Tampa Bay.
No, you lost the Rams also. Yeah, it was very interesting because John and I lost with Pittsburgh. You lost with Tampa Bay and the Rams.
And the Rams.
And the coin only won with Buffalo,
Mhm.
which was the only one we were all in sync. But anyway, so for this week, we have the Giants at Green Bay. I'll let the Giants fans go first. John?
Packers.
Green Bay. Harry?
Packers.
Packers. Green Bay. I pick Green Bay, and the coin says heads, which is the home team, which is Green Bay.
Green Bay.
So we're all in agreement there. Next up, Seattle at New Orleans. Is this another team that Geno Smith can thrive against? I'm taking the Saints.
I am taking the Saints as well.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints. I'm tempted to take the Seahawks, but I don't know. These who's playing quarterback for the Saints?
Winston's still out, right?
Yep.
Is he?
So it's Lily Tomlin, I believe it is.
Lily Tomlin, yes.
Yeah.
As Mush.
It's in New Orleans, though, right?
Yes, it is in New Orleans.
Yeah. Coin likes the what is it? The sea chickens?
Sea chickens, yes.
The water chickens.
Water chickens, that's it. All right. For the top spot, Atlanta and Tampa Bay in Tampa. I'm going with the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm gonna. They're gonna be my team this year that kills me, but I'm going with Tampa.
I'm taking the Bucks.
Taking the Bucks.
We're all in agreement.
And the coin says tails. It likes Atlanta. Now remember, like, was it 3 weeks ago or a month ago? We all lost to the coin.
Yes,
So could be setting up for another week here. The coin is going against the
tough
consensus
games.
here.
We're picking the tough games this year.
We are. Philly, hosted by the Arizona Cardinals. Johnny.
Eagles.
Eagles.
Boy,
Harry.
doesn't this one just have upset written all over it?
It does.
Kind of does.
It kind of does. Having said that, I'm going to go with the Eagles.
I too am taking the Eagles. Going to ride them.
I'm gonna regret that. I can see Arizona winning that game.
Well, the coin likes Philly, so that's bad news for us.
Yeah.
All right. Them Dallas Cowboys with what's the guy's name? Rush? Is it Cooper Rush?
Cooper Rush.
That's a pretty good name.
Sounds like an '80s movie that would be about some guy on a bicycle.
Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Starring,
Cowboys.
starring Matthew Modine.
Modine was in it. Yeah, Cooper Rush. Yeah.
Dallas being hosted by them LA Rams.
Boy, what's wrong with the Rams? It's
They're the defending Super Bowl champions, and I think everybody's gunning for them, and I think they're gunning for their coach too.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of guys that don't particularly care for him. It's a little extra incentive to not only beat the champions, but to beat that guy.
Beat that guy.
Who's starting for Dallas? That's my question.
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush.
That's definitive? Okay.
Yep.
Screw it. I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Ooh, all right. John?
Rams.
I am...
Rams, this is as odd as it is to say.
Must win.
It's a must-win game, and they got to get it right and figure it out.
I think they're going to fold like a cheap suit.
I'm going to take the Rams. They're at home. I don't know if it's going to be the turning point for them, but coin likes Dallas.
All right.
Go.
I'm in trouble.
Harry and the coin.
Harry and me.
And finally, the improving offensive line Cincinnati Bengals against maybe the most exciting man in football and the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
That's Lamar Jackson.
I figured out what you meant. I'm taking the Bengals.
I'm also taking the Bengals, although I changed my pick 4 times.
This is the toughest one to pick.
I went Baltimore. Cincinnati. No, Baltimore. No, Cincinnati.
You know how much I love Joe Burrow.
You got a man crush on Burrow.
I do. I have a quarterback crush on Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I just think in Baltimore, coming off a loss like they did, I think Lamar Jackson's going to light them up. I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Yeah.
This could be high scoring. This is not the Cincinnati Baltimore of the past.
No, it is not. All right, coin loves the home team, the Baltimore Ravens. So Harry and the coin locking up.
Yeah, I could be 6 games behind by the end of this week.
Let's see.
I'm going out on a limb just because
all
I don't
Green
really
Bay,
care
we're all New Orleans, we're all Tampa Bay, we're all Philly. So it's just the coin notwithstanding. So just the last couple that you're going against the Tide.
Safe to say, no matter what, after this week, Pete and I will still have the same. We'll have the same.
We will have the same record
as we same winning percentage as we have. So
because you guys are picking the same,
same.
I'm going to go with.
Pete's not going off on any weird tangents this week.
Yep.
No, I'm going chalk. John's won the last 2 years.
Mark.
I'm just whatever he's doing, I'm doing.
I noticed that.
You're 1 game ahead of me right now. Just stay with whatever I do, and you're good to go.
We get down to the last couple of weeks. If it's close, I might, if I get behind, I might go off and pick.
I'm just trying to make the podcast more interesting. I'm the Terry Bradshaw of this.
Right now, I'm just riding the 2-time winner's coattails.
That's right.
All the way to the final week.
Gotta love
hey,
it.
we were all within 1 last year, right? 1 game.
Yep.
We were, yeah. We were
where we are now.
Right where we are, yeah. 1 of the game. So,
all right,
cool.
there we go. That's beaten by the coin.
All right. Great.
Should be a fun week. Get your croissants ready for the Giants and Packers.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Had a good week.
Couple quick things about the NFL.
You got it.
Speaking of great names, Bailey Zappi of the New England Patriots might be the starting quarterback.
Sounds like a porn star.
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Zappi. Interesting.
Zappy or Zap?
It's Zappi, I believe. I've heard a couple of talking heads pronounce it Zappi.
All right.
It should be, even if it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I don't know if you heard Cole Beasley retiring.
Oh, really?
Cole
He just
Beasley
played
retired.
last week.
Yeah, he just 2 games. He played 2 games with Tampa Bay, and after 11 years, I guess I don't think he was hurt or anything. I think he just kind of reached a point where he went, I really don't want to do this as much as I don't.
Wasn't he their
wanna
leading
do it.
receiver last week?
I think so.
Yeah. So,
Oops, sorry, Tom.
about what 6 or 7 years with the Cowboys,
Yeah.
and 33 years old.
There you go.
So ready to be a full-time dad and husband.
There you go. And another fun name. I just want to throw this up since we're going to mention. Well, let's say this really quick. I won't change the background. There's no need for it. NBA starting up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from last night, October 18th. It's the 76th season of the NBA starts.
Ooh, that means Philly's going to win.
There you go.
Philly's going to win it all.
They're going to win it all. And next Tuesday, on October 11th, the NHL season begins. Except for this Friday night, October 7th, and this Saturday night, October 8th, the Sharks and the Predators are playing a home-and-home game for the regular season
On
to
the
begin
on the Discovery Channel.
on the Discovery Channel.
It's Wild Kingdom and Shark Week.
Right? But the whole rest of the league starts next Tuesday, October 11th. There are still preseason games going on while the Sharks and the Predators play regular season games.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that people in San Jose know they have a hockey team?
I don't think so. I really don't. But I just want to say, as far as go ahead, what, Pete?
No, I was going to say, I always like the Sharks just because their logo.
Yeah, of course. Oh, the Sharks have a great logo. That's great.
Yeah.
You said interesting names. Here's a basketball player in a league in France. I believe the name of the team. I have it right here. Let me just pull it up right here. It is. He plays for. Here it is. He plays for the Metropolitans 92 in the LNB Pro A League in France. And this is for real. This is his name. This is his last name. His first name is Stevie. Steeve. Steve. That's his first name, and this is his last name on his jersey.
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
Ho you fat.
Yeah.
Stevie Ho you fat.
Stevie Ho you fat. Stevie Ho you fat. There you go. Yeah.
Now, do you think that the person that was doing the embroidering are they actually 3 words like that? Or
Oh yeah,
they are. Okay.
Absolutely 3 words. Stevie Ho you fat. HO space YOU space FAT. Ho you fat. That's his name.
I'm wondering if this was like a disgruntled hospital worker who was filling out the birth certificate and.
Well, he was born in 88. He's 34 years old. So I don't know if.
Well,
I mean, I suppose there could have been a disgruntled worker.
Ho you fat was a very popular name in the late 80s.
Well, you know what though? I mean, if he was of the whatchamacallit, the Hamptons, so Ho you fats.
I think it was more.
Well, wasn't there a country
more
rap
the Brooklyn
group,
the Brooklyn
Ho you fats?
The Brooklyn Ho you fats.
Brooklyn Ho you fats?
Okay. Well, he was born in Cayenne, French Guyana. Okay. So he would have been of the Cayenne, French Guyana.
Guyana.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think it was a disgruntled hospital worker had an affair with his father.
Well, that's his actual last name. So,
And
I mean, it's not like his first name is bitch.
Right.
That's true.
Or damn. Damn,
Sheldon,
ho you fat.
Sheldon.
Bitch, ho you fat.
Or shit,
There you go.
Shit, ho you fat.
Damn, ho you fat.
Damn, ho you fat.
Stevie, ho you fat.
And there's a comma after ho in his last name too. Damn, ho you fat. There you go. All right. There you go. All right. So on that note, we will. I think we're good, right?
We're good. Blake Bortles, another interesting name. Done.
Interesting name.
No official retirement announcement, but he is officially, if you did not already know that, done with playing football.
Right. And
Did
one
he
other.
say that, or he's just unemployed?
He said that in a podcast. He did not want to make a formal announcement or make a big deal about it, but that he is. In case anybody was wondering where he was, he's retired.
He's retired. Well, and on that note, too, not that Blake Bortles is an odd name, but we were talking about Stevie Hoyufat and the other name.
Cooper Rush, Stevie Hoyufat.
In Pittsburgh this past weekend, was in the Heinz Sports, Western Pennsylvania Sports Museum, and a lot of cool stuff out there. We'll talk about it in other shows, but there was one thing it was reminded me of, because there was, a display of the Grays, right? The Pittsburgh Grays before they were the Pirates. And the man, Cumberland Posey.
Cumberland Posey.
Okay.
Right.
Player on the Grays. Cumberland Posey. I'm not sure if he's related to Buster, but Cumberland Posey. And he went by the nickname of the first 3 letters of his first name.
Mm-hmm.
Posey. He was Cum Posey. C-U-M Posey. So there you go.
Well, at least he didn't marry a Hoyufat.
There you go. and take his name.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
So that would have been an interesting, especially if there's a comma after the word ho.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made that completely different.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch all of the wild card games for the MLB playoffs this weekend. Watch your NFL. Watch NHL kicking off next Tuesday, and we'll talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.